What is going on, party people in the house? No, this thing is not recorded. We live in living color. It's Friday, January the 16th. Right now it's 9:03. Just so you know that this thing is not recorded. We are live in the flesh. How's everybody doing, man? It is time. We're about to wrap this thing up in a little bit. Today, it's one of those last portal days, kind of, sort of. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the guys that Texas was able to acquire in the transfer portal, kind of give us a little analysis, a little bit of where we are going into this upcoming weekend. So sit back, relax, enjoy the ride. We are live, and that's all that matters. Sometimes y'all make me laugh. Good morning to you, Nate, Rodolfo, Stephanie, all y'all in there. Big Cheddar, Sandman. I haven't seen you in a while. Sandman, Tex Blonde was asking about you the other day. Said she hadn't met you. So anyway, that's between y'all, but that did come out of her mouth. Anyway, today is the last day for guys to enter their names into the transfer portal. Now, this is crazy. There are, as of this morning, 6,738 names, active football players in the transfer portal over all divisions, right? Over all divisions, there's 6,700 people in there. If we just went, let's say, Division One, and I just was like, if it's just Division One, you're like, okay, what does that look like? That number is at 3,481 just for Division One. You know what that means? There's a lot of people going to have to get jobs pretty soon. Now, those are unsigned. So we're clear. Always got to make sure. Sometimes people get confused. It gets lost in the sauce, right? That means that those are the people. Today's the deadline to enter your name in the portal. It's not the deadline to sign. Always important to make that distinction. It's the deadline to enter your name in the portal. You can sign at any point after that. You're free to do whatever, but today is the very, very last day for that to happen. I keep kind of using the example from a couple of years, the SMU running back Belton Gardner. I had to look it up because I keep citing that, and I keep forgetting poor little Belton's name. So Belton Gardner. Remember when Texas had injuries to C.J. Baxter and Christian Clark? I think it was 2024 before that season. Belton Gardner was at SMU. He had been in the portal for a hot minute. Texas needed some help. They signed him, right? So the one thing that has been emphasized to me this week, in some way that people wanted inside the building, wanted me to make sure I passed along to you guys, is just understanding that it's still not over. Now, the heavy lifting is over. By the way, Bo is here, Mr. Boomer Sumer himself. It's the beginning of 2026. Good, happy New Year to you, Bo. And Bo's been in here for years. So, him, the Opinion Sports Show. There's a couple other guys who are Oklahoma fans that pop in here. They're more than welcome. They're respectful. They talk their stuff, but it's okay. It's all love, I think. Anyway, so what's been communicated to me is that Texas, no matter what, still has time. Now, let's be honest. A lot of the heavy lifting is done at this point. A lot of the heavy lifting is done. But they're still going to look and see. So players have until midnight to put their names in the portal. I don't know anybody who should have been waiting this long to do it. If I'm just being quite honest with you, I don't know who the hell's waiting until the last moment. I have a friend of mine. His kid transferred from a program as a quarterback. And lower level though, like kind of Ivy League stuff. And his kid was, wanted to go in the portal. He got decent numbers, nothing spectacular, but decent numbers. And I had to tell him, I was like, look, man, this thing is musical chairs. Y'all get an offer, you better jump on it and hop on it, because unless you're elite of the elite, creme de la creme, man, it's hard out here in them streets. It's hard out there in them streets. He was able to go. He's going to go to HBCU. So he got his undergrad from an Ivy League school. He's going to get his master's from HBCU. And I'm like, yeah, cool. Go ahead and do that. So we're going to keep monitoring what happens over the weekend. And I know the staff is going to be continuing to monitor what happens and what goes on over the weekend. But for the most part, most of the heavy lifting is done as relates to this whole thing. And I'm going to give you some good insight, I think, into everything. Texas was able to go out and pick up, as we both know, pick up 2 offensive linemen this week. And actually, I think it's 3, but they definitely picked up 2 offensive linemen. Yesterday, a couple of days ago, they get Jonte Newman from Texas A&M, kind of a piece to kind of throw in there, see what happens. And then, of course, they get Melvin Siani, who I hope I'm saying his name correctly, out of Wake Forest. And Texas doesn't necessarily walk away with the sexy names as relates to the offensive line and the transfer portal. But at this point, beggars can't be choosers. Y'all know the other day I was messing around. I was joking around. But, hey, Kyle Flood, I'm like, hey, what's going on? You got Corporate Brett, what's going on? You need to get some offensive linemen in here. I don't know what you're doing, brother. And they're able to get guys who they'll be able to at least stack the room. And look, they'll see what happens today. And there's a Jordan Seaton conversation that we'll have as well today. So don't worry about that. We'll hop around to different things, right? But at least from an offensive line standpoint, they're getting guys. I think if we start, if you do grades for positions overall, Texas has probably upgraded the majority of their positions. The offensive line will be the only one that you look at and say, well, we don't know. But, when it as relates to at least the acquisition of Siani becomes really interesting. And look, when I tell you today, just understand what I'm telling you today is in real time, January 16th, 9/11. Oh, wow. Yeah, 9/11. There's something about that too, right? Is there something out there, like if you notice 9/11, it means something or whatever? I know there's supposed to be like a deeper meaning to it, obviously, other than the obvious meaning, right? I just can't remember. It's like if you see like a number of sequence on the clock, like 222 or 123 or something like that, or 1 2 3 4, something like that. Anyway, but the thing is, as relates to Siani, as it is today, he would be the guy more than likely, from people I spoke to yesterday, he would be the guy that more than likely would be on the right side as your starting right tackle as of today, before we go to any winter conditioning, spring ball, anything like that. Who the hell knows what happens after that? So that's what I'm saying. Don't get on me. Don't get on me like, oh, you said in January, bro. Don't get on me about something in August. But like, I remember in January. I appreciate you watching the show, but still, and we'll get to and look, Mark, we'll get to the Seaton conversation in a second. So right now, as it stands, he would be your right tackle. Brandon Baker bumps into the guard position, and that's kind of how you rock. That's kind of how you would flow with that. And at that point, it's not sexy as far as an offensive line, Kyle Flood definitely has some work and some coaching to do. But what you say to yourself at that point is, all right, the way Arch performed from Mississippi State on, if Arch is that quarterback that you saw, then you can hide some of the sins and the flaws of the offensive line. You can't hide them all, but you would be able to hide a few of those things, especially if you look at the way that he performed. By the way, Bo, I saw that John Mateer's coming back. That's great news for Texas fans. Trust me, Texas fans are really happy that you guys have re-signed him. But nonetheless, you've got Arch, and if he performs well, you say to yourself, okay, you've got running backs, and you say to yourself, all right, you got some playmakers there that can make up for some sins, right? In the offensive line, as someone taught to me, it's symmetry. It's all about symmetry. It isn't necessarily about stars or studs. It's about symmetry, guys working together. If you can get those 5 guys working together as a unit, it is yet that Voltron thing that we talked about. Green Lantern would know all about the Voltron reference, right? I know all of y'all here. Nate, right? Nate, I know everybody in here, man. And somebody else is like, you didn't mention my name. Anyway, so you start looking at it and you say to yourself, okay, this would be because of what the offense is. Arch might be able to hide some of the sins of the offensive line, right? If this is what it is, and this is where it stands as of today, it might by the time we get to Monday, it might change totally differently, right? It may be totally different, but right now, if you can get that and get some symmetry there, all of a sudden you say to yourself, all right, wouldn't that be the? It is too early for a shot. Too early for a shot. I mean, it's not too early. I can do a shot of something else. The killer probably need to lay off of. I don't know. That's a story for another day. So that's where it stands as it relates to the offensive line. And the sense that I'm getting is that if they could get another offensive lineman this weekend, they would be extremely happy about that. They would really feel like, okay, it wasn't the haul that they wanted, but I think there's so many like learning lessons about the portal that we'll get into that as well. But there's so many things that everybody has learned in real time. One of the things that people have learned in real time is that, and I mentioned this before, what the people have learned, a lot of teams have learned, is that guys are living good, guys are comfortable, and guys are comfortable for probably the first time in their life. They're out the house, they're 18, 19 years old, 20 years old, they're making money, 6 figures at a lot of different institutions. Some of these guys just don't want to leave. And so Texas learned that we might have offered you more money, but guys ain't trying to take the flat screen off the wall. Guys ain't trying to pack up the PlayStation. Some guys are just good. Some guys are just chilling. Like, you think about you guys, and you may have lived in different cities, and then you just found a city that you like, and you just said to yourself, I'm just going to stay here. I think I'm good. Like, I don't really anticipate moving, right? I've moved around. I've been in bunch of different cities throughout my life, and suddenly somehow, some way, it's like I'm here in Austin/Cedar Park and Austin area, but live in Cedar Park. I'm like, I think I'm pretty good. Like, I may move around here and there, but I'm like, I'm all right. So that's what Texas has learned. Real time lessons. And we'll get into those lessons in a second, because if there's a Seaton conversation, I don't want to bury that at all. Yeah. The thing is, as relates to him, it's that how it's explained to me as relates to Jordan Seaton is Texas is kicking the tires on it, and Texas is trying to see what that thing looks like. And if it can happen, it can happen. but it seems more like a Hail Mary than it is like this is a definite, this is going to happen. Why? There's a couple of different variables that go into that. One, we'll start with the obvious. What's that asking price going to be? What is that asking price going to be? And if it's, look, I don't believe a lot of these numbers that people throw out here. I think a lot of it's just BS because it's unverifiable. It's not like the NFLPA where you can have to turn in a contract. You can see it. I think some of these agents are just throwing things out there just to make themselves look better. And they can go, and they've got that plausible deniability when it comes to the guys on the team. Because they say, man, I don't know where they got those numbers from. That sounds crazy, right? But it's BS. I don't know what Seaton wants, but we know that it's probably not going to be 500,000. we know it's probably not $1 million. He's probably doing pretty good over there in Colorado. So we know it's going to be probably a few. And then at that point, if you're Texas, do you tell yourself, whatever we gave Gooseby, who is a first-team all-SEC player, we're going to give this guy off the street $1 million more? And then, are you going to then say, now, Trevor, hey, since you played right tackle before, why don't you just move over? Yeah, I mean, like all of a sudden, Trevor Gooseby is just that guy who you just like, I mean, you cool and all, but I mean, we got something better. Like that. Or as relates to Seaton, is he willing to say, I'll play right tackle for a season? Now that would make sense. But then are you paying your starting right tackle that many $1 million for a few months of work, a year of work? That's where it starts becoming like, ooh, okay. My sense is the price tag would have to be one that everybody could live with. And he would just really need to love Texas. Listen, I hate to be disrespectful. No disrespect, which always comes before the disrespect happens. My man is visiting Mississippi State. You ain't going to Mississippi State unless you're interested in a bag. I'm talking about a bag. Nothing wrong with Mississippi. Went there this past year. Actually had a decent time there. I'm not going to lie. Went out to a nice restaurant. The people at the hotel treated me so kind. It was Southern hospitality. I absolutely had a nice time in Mississippi. Nothing wrong. I'm from a small town, from Lakeland, Florida. Went back there back there in December. I hadn't been back there in years. Went to small town. I'm cool with small towns. But you only go to Mississippi State unless you think there's a bag there. Let's just be honest. And so, old boy, it is nothing wrong with it. But old boy is looking to see if he can get paid. And I'm not quite sure, in my sense that I'm not getting a sense that Texas is willing to get into a bidding war for Seaton. That's now, when it came to Cam Coleman, that was going to be by hook or crook. That was going to be, listen, we got to get that dude. We are not going to be outbid on that one. That message was loud and clear from behind the scenes. Got it. You're going to get him, not a problem. I don't necessarily sense that with this one situation. So, look, I'll say it like this. In this world, transfer portal, NIL, specifically NIL, listen, I don't know. And I think if anybody tells you that they definitely know, I think they're just telling you BS. Things happen. Guys go in the portal and then they come out the portal. Like guys say they're not going in the portal, then they hop in and they're already signed, right? There's so many things variables that happen in real time Guys asking for a lot of money, and then I see them settle for way less than the crazy asking prices that they had. So I would just say we'll monitor it. We'll see what happens. Guys say they're going to take visits. They never show up on campus. It's a wild world. Like I was checking the portal, looking at the portal stuff the other day, yesterday, and I was like, well, why is CJ Baxter not signed? And come to find out that CJ Baxter, while he had committed to Kentucky, hadn't actually showed up to sign the paperwork. So yeah, apparently he'll sign the paperwork today, and he'll be good to go, right? I'm just saying this whole portal thing is crazy. So all you can do, I think you watch it as a spectator, but I think if you try to get into the prognosis business of this for sure is going to happen, I just think you, especially the reporters who really want to act like they know. I won't admit, I can't look with these young dudes' money. People come at the last minute. It's people telling me like, I had other coaches telling me, not specifically at UT, that they would have guys in their office and try to talk to them. And then be another coach calling them like, where you at? Oh man, listen, man, but before you do anything, just let you know, we got this kind of money for you over here. And they'll be right there. Like imagine being on a date and someone, well, y'all probably have had that experience. But you know, it is like someone's like, hey, well, when you get done, why don't you come over and see me? I just gave someone some PTSD, right? I'm sorry. I know you worked really long and hard to get rid of that. Oh, I appreciate you, Mark, by the way, for leading the charge and getting Coleman here along with the bat. Yeah, I mean, that's the Ryan Wingo thing I thought was really, really cool. When I found out that information as far as Ryan Wingo, I kind of recruiting Cam Coleman, because that has to work. That has to work. I mean, guys are, chasing bass, but for a guy that is that power, that kind of status, you want to make sure the guy next to you is cool, and this is going to be in the room. And, Ryan Wingo did help. They would contact every single day, So now y'all remember when we get to the fall or the spring and someone starts writing that story, and they're like, and you see someone else do it, like, you just remember like, man, I told you this thing back in January. So everybody else will take credit for it and run with it. It's fine. I don't care that much. So let's look at what has happened. And I'm going to give you guys the thought process from people I've talked to behind the scenes. Man, if you know Longhorn fans and they don't watch this show, man, oh man, you gotta let people know. Like, I'll come on here and try to really drop some knowledge on y'all. Okay, so listen, I want you guys to look at this list, but don't look at it as transferred out, transferred in kind of thing. Don't read left and then go read right. I want you to kind of play this exercise with me. The one thing that has happened behind the scenes is that Sark and Brandon Harris have had to tell guys the word no. They've had to tell guys the word no. And there's a lot of guys and their agents and everybody else who didn't like to hear the word no. And when I say no, I'm talking no to the asking price, okay? And so I want you to think of it in terms of trade-off. And did Texas upgrade? Okay. Now think of there's guys that Texas did want to keep. Okay. And I'll go through that one by one once we get there. Okay. But there's a specific areas of guys that Texas did want to keep, because typically I've told you guys that Texas doesn't lose guys that they want to keep. And that's always been kind of a thing. But in this cycle, they did lose guys that they wanted to keep. Okay. So don't worry about Trey Owens. Don't worry about a Jared Gibson or a Ricky Stewart or things to that effect. Who, by the way, Ricky Stewart still hasn't signed it with anybody. We should think of this in terms of guys that they wanted to keep versus guys they were able to obtain. So guys they said no to, and then did they upgrade when it was all said and done? Okay, and think of it in terms of trade. Texas traded this one for that one. Okay, Quintravion Reisner, C.J. Baxter traded for Raleigh Brown and Hollywood Smothers. Is that an upgrade? Okay, think about that. I'm trading you my C.J. Baxter. This is like you do fantasy football, right? You have a fantasy football team. I will trade you Quintravion Reisner and C.J. Baxter for Raleigh Brown and Hollywood Smothers. If you get that trade offer in fantasy football, how fast do you hit the accept button before the person realizes, oh, damn. But Texas had to tell those guys for their salary demands, no, we're not going to pay that. We're not going to give you that. And so what did they do? A lot of this money that you see that came off the books on the transferred out portion, what Texas was able to do, Sark and Brandon Harris, what they're able to do is say, you know what? We're going to take that money, $300,000, $500,000, $800,000, whatever that number is, and we're going to package it to get the real stars, right? So Texas, as we all know, Texas wanted to keep Parker Livingston, and Texas would have liked to have kept DeAndre Moore. But if I tell you I'll trade you Parker Livingston and DeAndre Moore for Cam Coleman, is that an upgrade? And your fantasy team, and I'm offering you, and I'm saying you can get Cam Coleman, but you got to trade in Parker Livingston and DeAndre Moore. Did you upgrade? This is, and again, you just took all this dead money, all these guys that you're looking at who are just, okay, Santana Wilson's gone and Warren Robinson's gone, and all right, well, I'll just take some of that money with the other guy's money and I'll package it and I'll give it here. You would view that as an upgrade, right? Jordan Washington goes into the portal. I like Jordan Washington. And then they get Michael Masunas, who played pretty damn good. I mean, again, this may be a guy for you. Like, look, you may like, who the hell? But if you're able to get someone from, a Michigan State who was able to have some contributions there, you probably tell yourself, okay, I was able to upgrade. You traded one for another. Okay, look at your linebackers: Leona Lafau, Bo Barnes. I'll trade you those guys for Rasheem Biles and Justin Cryer. Right? You accept that trade at all times, right? You take that trade at all times, right? The Will Stone for Gianni Septic. So no, I said septic. I switched around the things. That should be, how you say his name? I don't know. I gotta learn it. Gianni. I'll figure it out. My bad, Gianni. I apologize, sir. I have not worked hard enough on getting the correct pronunciation of your name, but I definitely will work on that. But here you got a guy who made 75% of his field goals, 100% of his extra points, as long as is 55 yards. If you say to yourself, hey, he made a 55-yarder in 2025. I'm just looking up his stats right now. 55-yarder in 2025. He made a 52-yarder in 2024. If you say like, okay, that's a trade, maybe it's a wash. I don't know. I can't say I'm profuse in the kicker realm, but you'll tell yourself. Now look, when you look at Connor Stroll, Neto, Daniel Cruz, Nate Kibbles, Nick Brooks, I don't know if you would tell yourself 100% that you upgraded. If maybe Melvin Ciani is helps you with that. It might be a wash. It might be an even trade when it's all said and done. But when Nick Brooks comes to you and his people say, we want more money, do you tell yourself, I am going to pay more money or not? Right? And so, again, the offensive line, that remains to be seen if we feel like that's a total upgrade. I don't know. It might be a push at that point. But if you look at it from, and thank you, Green Lantern, if you look at it from one trade, that's how they look at it behind the scenes. That's exactly how they view it. They view it as we traded this for that. We traded this for that. We saved this money to package it to get this money. Then you look at it, and if you look at it from that perspective and that perspective alone, then Texas, from a transfer portal perspective, has done incredibly well. They were able to trade to get these guys who you look at and say, man, they packaged that money. They saved that money. Yes, they had to say no to some guys. And in the moment, you tell yourself, damn, we lost this guy. We lost that guy. But the thing is that if you've got these guys who are getting paid that much money, 6 figures, and you tell yourself, man, 3 of those salaries that are doing nothing for us can get us this guy or that guy or these guys, then all of a sudden you tell yourself, this was a damn good transfer portal haul. Look, from an offensive line perspective, you would love to say, man, you would love to say you would do more. Yeah. And I think we're all willing to say we wish that Texas was able to 100% kill it and 100% nail it in the offensive line department, right? But I was talking to somebody. Sometimes in life, we focus too much on like some of the negatives and we don't focus on the positive, right? It's like someone can tell you, like, man, that suit looks really nice. That tie looks really nice, man. Them shoes are cool, man. You styling them, profiling, man. Look at you. Them size, oh, they custom. I don't think that belt matches though. But you know what? You looking fly though. You know what people are gonna focus on? The belt. And you won't focus on everything else that someone says, right? It's like, sometimes you guys, we're in our relationships and stuff like that. And then it's just like, you have like one bad day, and that bad day overshadows the 4 or 5 months of all the bliss that you had, right? And now you're ready to be like, man, I'm tired of this. And you're like, well, wait a second. It was just like a one bad day. So the offensive line, but I would have loved to see more. At the end of the day, they did so well in all the other areas that I'm willing to say overall that they did extremely well in the portal. And I'm willing to say we'll see what happens once we get to Monday. And then Monday we'll have a better feel for it, a better evaluation of it as to the things that happen. So, but overall, this is the last push. This will be kind of the last. And again, I think there'll be guys that are trickled in. I don't know what the scholarship numbers look like. I'm sure Catch has that. I got to see what the scholarship numbers look like. There'll be guys that'll trickle in. We'll see what happens this weekend. More than likely, I wouldn't be surprised if they pick up a guy this weekend and someone. School started this week. You can get guys in another week or so, and it'll be fine. Like they'll be all right. They can catch up on the work, all those kind of things. But overall, as we sit here, if you got it, as you go into the weekend, you got to tell yourself, even though we rode this emotional roller coaster of the highs of, I can't believe Christian Clark's gone, or Jamie French is gone, or I can't believe Bo Barnes is gone. You're getting caught in that moment. But then when you look at it on the other side and see what happens, hey, good luck to all those young men that left. I wish all of them nothing but success. I hope they all find happiness where they're at. But saying no has helped Texas really get themselves, I think, in a much better position going forward. All right, that's it. We're done. It's Friday, y'all. Fellas, I was thinking about this today, fellas. Pro tip: hey, you know how fellas, how the florists like to jack us on Valentine's Day? Pro tip: order your flowers like early while they cheap, and then have it delivered like on February 13th. Before we get, don't wait until like the day of, and then or the day before, and then you're gonna get jacked. Just do it now. Get the coupons, all that kind of stuff, and then have it delivered on the 13th, where she can have it waiting for her on the 14th, and then you're good. Because you try to do it on the 14th, then it may or may not get delivered. So I'm just telling you, fellas, just think in advance. Everybody else, y'all go out there, have a fantastic day, have a fantastic weekend. Might be a 3-day weekend for some of you guys if you have Monday off, but I'll be back on Monday. Ain't no rest for me. I'll be back on Monday. Listen, unless Texas signs someone like special, you won't see a drunk out on me this weekend, okay? But nonetheless, I still should be back on Monday. Go out, have a fantastic day, have a fantastic Friday. You know what I always say, live each day like it was your last. One day it will be. So go out, do something special for yourself, treat yourself to something nice, and because you absolutely deserve it. Nobody celebrates you, celebrate yourself. So go out, have a fantastic day. Stay here on Orange Buzz. We'll continue to monitor things. I guess Twitter's down, so we'll get back on that in a second. So find something else fun to do. All right, y'all. Take care. Have a great, fantastic